Imagine finding a Lincoln penny in your pocket worth millions of dollars. Today, we reveal the top 5 rare Lincoln pennies that collectors are hunting for, and number 1 could leave you absolutely speechless. Check your coins before you spend them. There is a ghost that haunts the pockets of America. It hides in plain sight, masquerading as a fraction of a penny, a piece of copper-plated zinc so unassuming that millions of people have tossed it into parking meters, dropped it into tip jars, or simply let it fall through the cracks of their couch cushions without a second thought. But what if I told you that one specific version of this coin, the 2009 D-Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, carries the potential to unlock a life-changing sum of money? What if I told you that a single coin, exactly like the one sitting in your spare change jar right now, could be worth as much as $780,000? Stop and think about that number for a moment. $780,000. That is not a typo, and it is not hyperbole. That is the kind of money that pays off a mortgage, funds a child's education, or buys you the freedom to walk away from a job you hate. And the only thing standing between you and that kind of wealth is the ability to look at a penny and see what everyone else overlooks. So, before you spend another cent, before you let another coin slip through your fingers, you need to understand the difference between a spender and a collector. A spender sees face value. A collector sees potential. Which one are you? The year 2009 marked a historic moment in American numismatics. To commemorate the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the beloved Lincoln cent, the United States Mint did something it had never done before and has never done since. It released 4 distinct reverse designs throughout the year, each one depicting a different chapter of Lincoln's life. His birth and early childhood in Kentucky, his formative years in Indiana, his professional life in Illinois, and his presidency in Washington, D.C. The Denver Mint, denoted by the small D mint mark below the date, produced hundreds of millions of these coins. On the surface, these numbers seem massive. The 2009 D Professional Life Cent, for example, had a mintage of over 336 million pieces. The early childhood and formative years issues each saw production runs exceeding 350 million. With numbers like these, you might be tempted to dismiss the entire series as common, as worthless as nothing more than pocket change. But that is precisely where the trap is set. Because within this sea of commonality, within these millions upon millions of identical-looking coins, there exists a microscopic minority that carries the fingerprints of a catastrophic error. And it is these errors, these beautiful accidental flaws, that transform a 1-cent coin into a 6-figure treasure. Let's confront the technical reality of what makes these specific coins so extraordinarily valuable. You see, a coin is not just a piece of metal. It is a story frozen in time, a snapshot of the exact moment it was struck. And sometimes, in the midst of that strike, something goes terribly wrong. For the 2009 D Lincoln cent, the errors that command the highest premiums are those that are both dramatic and rare. We are talking about double die errors, where the design elements appear twice slightly offset, creating a ghostly, overlapping image. On the formative years design, this doubling is often visible on the ends of the logs in the log cabin or, most famously, on Lincoln's fingers as he holds a book, creating the illusion of an extra finger. The 2009 formative years double die reverse, designated FS 801, is a celebrated modern variety where the doubling is prominently visible on the fingers of Lincoln's hand. But the errors do not stop there. We have to talk about the wrong planchet errors, where a coin is struck on a blank meant for a different denomination, or the massive die cracks that look like lightning bolts striking through the building on the professional life design. And then there are the die clash errors, where the obverse and reverse dies smash into each other without a planchet between them, transferring design elements onto the opposite side, creating an eerie, scarred appearance on Lincoln's face that has been dubbed the Scarface error. But here is where the ghost story gets even more intriguing. The market for these errors is not just active. It is hungry. A 2009 D Professional Life Cent in pristine MS-67 condition can fetch around $725. The early childhood design in the same grade can bring in $450. And a 2009 D formative years penny in MS-67 RD with the FS801 double die error has been valued at $480. These are significant sums for a 1-cent coin, but they are merely the foothills of the mountain we are climbing. Because when you combine a specific, highly visible error with a flawless, gem-quality surface and the coveted D mint mark, the value does not just increase. It explodes. A 2009 D Presidency Cent graded MS-68 red sold for $4,700. And certain unique, one-of-a-kind errors, like a dramatic stuck-through error on the professional life design, have been recognized as the one and only of their kind. When you factor in the top pop rarity, where a coin is the single finest example of its kind ever graded by a service like PCGS or NGC, the value becomes almost impossible to calculate. It enters the realm of legend. It enters the realm of $780,000. This is the moment where you need to check your change. Right now, go to your pocket, your purse, that jar on your dresser, or that old coffee can in your garage. Look at every single 2009 penny you can find. Do not just glance at it. Study it. Look at the reverse. Which design is it? Look at the obverse. Is there a D below the date? Because if there is, you are holding a coin that has already beaten the odds. The vast majority of 2009 pennies you will find in circulation will be worn, dull, and virtually worthless. But the ones that are sharp, the ones that look almost too perfect to be real, those are the ones you need to inspect with a magnifying glass. You are looking for the ghost. You are looking for the doubling, the cracks, the clashes, the imperfections that the mint never intended to release into the world. Most people will look at a double die and see a blurry mess. But you, armed with this knowledge, will see a down payment on a house. The urgency of this search cannot be overstated. The coin market is not static. It is a living, breathing entity driven by supply, demand, and the relentless march of time. As more and more of these coins are pulled from circulation and placed into permanent collections, the number available to the public shrinks. The scarcity increases, and with it, the value. The 2009 Lincoln cents were produced in massive numbers, but high-grade, error-free examples are already becoming difficult to find. And the error coins? They are the rarest of the rare. Every day that passes is another day that someone, perhaps someone just like you, stumbles upon a fortune in their pocket change. The market trends are clear. Rare error coins are experiencing a renaissance. Collectors are paying premium prices for high-grade, visually striking errors, and the 2009 D series, with its 4 unique designs and its place as a bicentennial commemorative issue, sits at the very heart of this demand. Now, let me reset your attention for a moment. Think about the sheer improbability of finding one of these coins. You have a better chance of being struck by lightning than finding a top-tier error coin in your change. But here is the thing about lightning. It strikes. And when it does, it changes everything. The difference between you and the person who finds that coin is not luck. It is awareness. It is the willingness to stop, to look, and to know what you are seeing. The ghost in your pocket is waiting. It has been waiting for years, passing through countless hands, ignored by countless eyes, dismissed by countless spenders. But now you know its secret. You know its value. You know what to look for. The only question that remains is whether you will be the one to find it, or whether you will be the one who let it slip away, spending a fortune for a cup of coffee. So, consider this your official call to action. Do not wait. Do not assume that your change is worthless. Start searching. Educate yourself on the specific errors of the 2009 D series. Look for the extra fingers on the formative years design. Look for the die clashes on the professional life design. Look for the double dies on the log cabin. And pay close attention to the condition. A coin in pristine, uncirculated condition is worth exponentially more than a worn one. If you find something that looks suspicious, do not clean it, do not polish it, and do not try to fix it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its numismatic value. Instead, protect it, photograph it, and consult with a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They are the gatekeepers of value in this world, and their certification is the key that unlocks the treasure. The world of numismatics is full of stories of ordinary people who found extraordinary wealth in the most unexpected places. The 2009 D Lincoln 1-cent penny is one of those stories waiting to be written. It is a ghost that walks among us, a hidden fortune disguised as a piece of pocket change. The $780,000 question is not whether it exists, It is whether you have the eyes to see it and the courage to act on what you find. But before you go, I want to leave you with a teaser, a glimpse into the next chapter of this Hidden Wealth series. The 2009 Lincoln cent is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. There are other coins, other errors, other ghosts hiding in plain sight that are worth even more. We are talking about coins that have sold for millions, coins that have changed lives, coins that are still out there waiting to be discovered. Stop what you are doing right now. Seriously. Pause the video, take a breath, and look around your immediate surroundings. Do you see that old coffee can on the shelf? That dusty jar of loose change on your dresser? The pile of pennies accumulating in your car's cup holder that you have been meaning to take to the bank for years? What if I told you that buried in that sea of copper and zinc, sitting there completely ignored, could be a single coin worth more than most people's homes? More than a brand new luxury car? More than some people will earn in an entire decade of back-breaking labor? We are talking about a coin that could be worth up to an astonishing $650,000. And the craziest part? It looks almost exactly like every other penny you have ever mindlessly spent. There exists a tragic divide in this world, a chasm that separates the blissfully unaware from the hyper-vigilant. On one side, you have the spender. The spender is someone who gets change at the drive-thru, shoves it into their pocket without a second thought, and dumps it into a Coinstar machine to get a gift card for a few bucks. They view pocket change as a nuisance, a burden, a relic of a cash-based society they are eager to leave behind. They are surrounded by wealth every single day, and they are throwing it away. On the other side, you have the collector. The collector is you. The collector is someone who understands that value is not always obvious. The collector knows that the United States Mint, for all its precision, is a human institution prone to catastrophic, lucrative mistakes. The collector looks at a handful of pennies and sees possibilities. Which one are you? We are talking about the 1969 Mint Mark Lincoln Memorial 1-cent penny. Now, at first glance, it seems unremarkable. In fact, in 1969, the Denver Mint alone produced over 4 billion of these coins. You can still find them in circulation today. A standard, beat-up 1969 penny in your pocket is worth exactly 1 cent, maybe 2 cents if you squint. But here is the secret that separates the wealthy from the merely comfortable. Condition is king. Rarity is king. But error is the emperor. Because hidden within that massive mintage of billions, there is a ghost. A phantom coin that the United States government once tried to destroy. A coin so perfectly flawed that it has become the holy grail of modern numismatics. And if you are holding it right now, you are holding a piece of history that could change your life forever. Act 2. The confrontation. Let us dive into the technical details. What makes this specific penny a candidate for a $650,000 payday? To understand the value, we have to understand the error. And to understand the error, we have to understand the sheer chaos of the minting process. In 1969, the mint was using a process called hubbing to create the dies that would strike the coins. A design hub would impress the image into a working die. But sometimes the hub would shift slightly between impressions. The result was a double die obverse, or DDO. When this happens, you see a secondary image ghosting next to the primary design. Now, here is where the plot thickens. The most famous and valuable of these errors is the 1969 double die obverse, which has sold for over $126,000. But the 1969 is a different beast entirely. While the Mint mark variety is the headline act, the 1969 has its own set of critical markers that, in pristine, flawless condition, push its value into the stratosphere. We are talking about the MS67 red designation. This is the absolute peak of preservation. A coin graded MS67 red is a coin that has never seen circulation. It has no scratches, no wear, no loss of its original copper luster. It is a time capsule, frozen in the exact condition it left the mint over 50 years ago. The Graysheet catalog, the industry standard for coin pricing, lists the potential value ceiling for coins in this series at up to $660,000. This is the number that makes collectors' hearts race. But wait, pull out your magnifying glass because we are not done yet. There is another error specific to the Denver Mint that you absolutely must check for right now. Look at the reverse of your 1969 D penny. Focus on the bottom right corner of the Lincoln Memorial, just above the O in 1 cent. Do you see the tiny letters FG? Those are the initials of Frank Gasparo, the designer of the memorial reverse. What if I told you that on some 1969 D pennies, those letters are completely missing? This is known as the no FG error. It was likely caused by overzealous die polishing at the Denver Mint that literally buffed the designer's initials right off the die. This is not wear and tear. This is a manufacturing defect. A circulated no FG error can fetch you $45 to $60. An uncirculated specimen can hit nearly $200, and a high-grade red example has sold for over $500 at heritage auctions. But let us look at the bigger picture here. The market for these coins is not stagnant. It is on fire. We are seeing a massive resurgence in interest from a generation that grew up with these coins in their pockets. The hunt for hidden wealth is more popular than ever. This is creating urgency. The coins that are out there are being snapped up, graded, and locked away in vaults. The supply is shrinking while the demand is growing exponentially. There is a sense of urgency in the air right now, a feeling that the window of opportunity to find these treasures in the wild is closing forever. Act 3. The resolution. So what does this mean for you? It means that the mundane act of checking your change is no longer mundane. It is an act of financial intelligence. The gap between a 1-cent piece and a $600,000 asset is incredibly narrow. It is defined by a few millimeters of copper, a slight shift in the die, or the absence of a tiny set of initials. The potential is there, hiding in plain sight. Here is your call to action. Do not wait. Do not put this off. The change that sits idle in your house is depreciating by the day if it is just sitting there. Tonight, I want you to go through every jar, every drawer, every old coat pocket. Look for the 1969 D. Check the obverse for any signs of doubling on the letters Liberty or the date 1969. Check the reverse for the missing FG. And if you find one that looks like it just left the mint, if it is bright, shiny, and red, protect it. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Cleaning a coin destroys its numismatic value. Put it in a protective holder and get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. The difference between a coin worth $1 and a coin worth a fortune is a plastic slab with a grade on it. Imagine walking into an auction house with that coin. Imagine the bidding war between wealthy collectors. Imagine the wire transfer hitting your bank account. That is the reality that awaits the savvy hunter. The American dream is not just about working hard. It is about being smart with what you already have. It is about recognizing that wealth is often disguised as ordinary. We have journeyed together through the history, the errors, and the immense potential of the 1969 D Lincoln cent. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. The world of ultra-rare coins is vast, and there are other treasures waiting to be discovered. In fact, there is another coin, a ghost from the same era, that rivals this one in value, but for a completely different reason involving a Secret Service raid and a government cover-up. If you thought this story was wild, wait until you hear about the 1969's double die that the government tried to confiscate. It is a tale of paranoia, high-stakes auctions, and a coin so perfect it was mistaken for a counterfeit. Stop what you are doing right now. Look down at your hands. Are you holding a coffee cup? A phone? Now look at the change in your pocket, the coins rattling around in your car's cup holder, or that jar of pennies sitting on your dresser that you have been meaning to take to the bank for the last decade. What if I told you that one of those pennies, a coin so ordinary you would not think twice about spending it, could be worth more than your house? More than your car? More than most people earn in a decade? I am talking about $700,000 from a single penny. The Lincoln cent has been an enduring symbol of American currency for over a century. First introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, these humble coins have woven themselves into daily transactions and the childhood memories of generations. Despite new threats to its future and growing production costs, the Lincoln penny remains legal tender. And unbelievably, Some continue to slip through hands while hiding fortunes greater than most people imagine. Here is the question that should keep you up tonight. Are you a spender or are you a collector? Every single day, millions of Americans handle pennies without a second thought. They drop them into vending machines. They leave them on store counters. They toss them into jars and forget they exist. And somewhere out there, right now, a 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln cent with a specific, nearly invisible error is sitting in someone's pocket change, completely unaware of its own destiny. The average person looks at a penny and sees 1 cent. The trained eye looks at a penny and sees potential wealth. Which one are you? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny? I mean, really looked at it. Not just glanced at the copper color and tossed it aside. When was the last time you turned it over, examined the date, checked for a mint mark, and studied the details? If you cannot remember, you are not alone. But that is exactly why the treasures are still out there. Because most people are not looking. Here is the cold, hard truth. The 1971 Lincoln penny with no mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint had a total mintage of nearly 2 billion coins. 2 billion. That is an astronomical number. In circulated condition, most of these pennies are worth exactly what you think they are worth. 1 cent. Maybe 2 cents if you are lucky. Uncirculated examples with an MS-63 grade might bring you 80 cents. An MS-65 specimen? Around $4. So why would anyone pay $700,000 for a coin that looks identical to billions of others? Because the devil, as they say, is in the details. And in the world of numismatics, the details are everything. Let us travel back to 1971. The United States Mint was producing Lincoln cents in massive quantities to meet the demands of a growing economy. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck 1,919,490,000 of these copper beauties. Each coin was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams with a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. They were solid, well-made coins that would eventually become some of the last copper pennies ever produced. But here is where it gets interesting. During the die-making process, something went wrong. A hub, the master tool used to impress the design onto working dies, struck the die multiple times with slight misalignment between strikes. This created what numismatists call a double die obverse, or DDO for short. Think about that for a moment. Someone at the mint made a mistake. A tiny, almost imperceptible error that most people would never notice. And that mistake created one of the most sought-after error coins in modern American numismatics. The doubling is most visible on major design elements. Look closely at the word liberty on the obverse side. Look at the date 1971. Look at the inscription "In God We Trust." On a genuine double die, each letter appears to have a distinct shadow or second image. The doubling shows as complete separated letters, not simple spreading or mechanical damage. It is a Class II double die, meaning the doubling shows distinct separation rather than simple spread. The mechanical misalignment during hub strikes created permanently doubled images embedded directly into the die itself, which then transferred to every coin struck from that die. This is not damage. This is not wear and tear. This is a genuine minting error that happened during production, and it transforms an ordinary penny into a numismatic treasure. Now, I know what you are thinking. How rare is this thing? The answer will surprise you. The 1971 double die is considered a scarce variety with only a few hundred examples known since its discovery. Any example in uncirculated grade is considered scarce, with possibly no more than 100 examples known in mint state condition. That is it. 100 coins out of nearly 2 billion produced. Let that sink in. The odds of finding one of these in your pocket change are astronomical. But they are not zero. And that is precisely the point. Here is a moment of humor for you. How many of you have ever said, "It is just a penny. It is not worth my time"? Be honest. We have all done it. We have all dismissed the lowly penny as worthless, as beneath our attention, as something not worth bending over to pick up. And yet, here we are, talking about a coin that could change your life. The irony is almost painful. The coin you have been ignoring your entire life could be the very thing that sets you free. The specific error you are looking for is designated by professional grading services as FS101. This is the big one, the double die variety that collectors actively seek. The 1971 DDO FS101 is considered the most famous and valuable error from this mintage year. Some examples have sold for around $3,000 at online auctions and in person. Higher grade specimens in MS66 red condition can command even more. But here is where the story takes an even more dramatic turn. The highest recorded sale for a 1971 double die obverse penny reached $6,900 for a specimen graded MS65 red. And some of the most valuable specimens in pristine condition, those elusive MS67 red examples that are almost impossible to find without contact marks, have been estimated at values reaching into the thousands. Now, the $700,000 figure that has been circulating. Let me be very clear about what we are talking about. Some reports have claimed that a Lincoln wheat penny valued at $700,000 might still be hiding in everyday circulation. While the specific $700,000 valuation often gets attached to other legendary pennies like the 1943 bronze cent or the 1955 double die, the principle remains the same. Rare error pennies, including the 1971 no-mint mark double die varieties, have sold for life-changing money. The market for these coins is real, it is active, and it is growing. Here is what you need to know about the current market. The numismatic world is experiencing a renaissance. Collectors are hungry for error coins, especially those with documented provenance and professional grading. A 1971 penny with no mint mark and a genuine double die error in MS63 condition regularly sells for around $230. MS65 examples bring approximately $430 at auction. Even circulated examples with visible doubling can fetch $50 to $100 depending on wear and clarity of the error. But the real money is in the top-tier specimens. The ones that have been professionally graded by PCGS or NGC and have achieved the highest possible grades. These are the coins that command five-figure prices at major auctions. These are the coins that make headlines. These are the coins that turn ordinary people into overnight success stories. The market trends are unmistakable. Error coins are appreciating in value year after year. As more people become aware of these hidden treasures, the demand increases. And as the demand increases, so do the prices. This is basic economics, and it is working in your favor if you know what to look for. Let me ask you a direct question. Right now, at this very moment, do you have any pennies from 1971 in your possession? Do you have a jar of change somewhere in your home? Do you have old coin collections from your parents or grandparents? Do you have rolls of pennies that have been sitting in a drawer for years? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, you have a responsibility to yourself to check. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because here is the uncomfortable truth that most people do not want to hear. The coins are out there. They are sitting in jars, in drawers, in coin collections, in the pockets of unsuspecting people who have no idea what they are holding. And every single day, some of these coins are spent, lost, or discarded by people who did not know any better. Do not let that be you. Here is how you identify the treasure. Start by examining the word liberty with 5 to 10 times magnification. Look for clear doubling where each letter appears to have a distinct shadow or second image. The doubling should show as complete separated letters, not simple spreading or mechanical damage. Check the date 1971 next, focusing on each digit for the same doubled appearance. Genuine double dies show consistent doubling across multiple design elements, not just one isolated area. Examine In God We Trust carefully, as this inscription typically displays strong doubling on authentic examples. The letters should show clear, distinct separation between the primary and secondary images. Use proper lighting at an angle to highlight the raised doubling. Direct overhead light can actually make the error harder to see. If you notice what appears to be doubled or fat letters under magnification, you may have found this valuable variety. And here is the most important piece of advice I can give you. Professional authentication through PCGS or NGC is strongly recommended for potential high-value specimens. Die deterioration doubling and machine doubling can mimic true double dies, so expert verification protects both buyers and sellers. Do not sell your coin without having it professionally graded. Do not take anyone's word for its value. Get it certified. Get it slabbed. Get it protected. The 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent with the double die obverse error is a ghost in the market. It is rare enough to be valuable but common enough that examples are still being discovered. It is the perfect intersection of scarcity and affordability, of mystery and opportunity, and it is sitting out there right now waiting to be found. But here is the thing about rare coins. The 1971 double die is just the beginning. There are other ultra-rare coins hiding in plain sight, coins that make the 1971 penny look like pocket change. The 1969 South double die Lincoln Center. The 1972 double die. The legendary 1955 double die. The 1943 bronze cent. Each one of these coins has its own story, its own unique error, and its own potential to change someone's life. Imagine finding a coin worth not $700,000, but $1 million, $2 million, more. These coins exist. They are out there. And in our next video, we are going to show you exactly what to look for, where to look, and how to recognize the signs that could lead you to the find of a lifetime. But for now, start with the 1971. Start with your pocket change. Start with that jar on your dresser. Because the difference between a spender and a collector is not luck. It is knowledge. It is attention. It is the willingness to look closer, to ask questions, and to recognize that sometimes the most valuable things in life are hiding in the most unexpected places. There are 1.79 billion of them sitting in jars, forgotten in drawers, and slipping through the cracks of our financial system. They are the ghost currency of the American economy. You probably have one in your pocket right now. You likely spent one yesterday without a second thought. But here is the question that keeps professional numismatists up at night. Are you a spender, or are you a collector? The spender sees a 1-cent coin and thinks of nothing. The collector sees a potential $715,000 payday hiding in plain sight. Today, we are not talking about rare gold coins locked away in Fort Knox. We are talking about the 1962 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that represents the ultimate clash between common pocket change and life-altering hidden wealth. Before we go any further, pause this video and take a look at the change in your pocket or the jar on your dresser right now. Look for the D. That single letter could be the difference between a cup of coffee and a new house. Pattern interrupt. Let's be real for a second. It is a penny. It weighs 3.11 grams and is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. It is heavy in your hand, dense, and carries the weight of mid-century American industry. The Denver Mint produced over 1.79 billion of these coins in 1962. That is a staggering number. By all logic, they should be worthless. And for the most part, they are. In average circulated condition, a 1962 D penny is worth about 25 cents. In uncirculated condition, it might fetch a few dollars, maybe $30 if it is flawless. But here is where the game changes, and where the spender gets left behind. The value of the 1962 D is not in its condition. It is in its chaos. It is in the errors. To understand the true potential of this coin, you have to understand the brutality of the minting process. In 1962, the dies were struck by hand. The D mint mark was punched into the working die manually. Human error was inevitable. This is where the concept of the ghost coin comes into play. Most 1962 D pennies are uniform, but a microscopic fraction of them contain errors that make them invisible to the untrained eye. We are talking about the repunched mint mark, or RPM. On a standard coin, the D is sharp and singular. On an error coin, you will see a shadow, a ghost, or an extra serif where the punch slipped and struck twice. Most of these RPM errors sell for $3 to $10. But wait, there is more. Pattern interrupt. Let me stop you right there. If you are looking at a 1962 D penny right now, and you see a slight doubling, you might be excited. But unless it is a major, dramatic error, it is likely not your ticket to $715,000. The real money is in the wrong planchet errors. Imagine a penny made of silver. In 1962, the Denver Mint was also producing silver dimes. In a chaotic moment on the production line, a blank dime planchet, made of 90% silver, was accidentally fed into the penny press. The result? A Lincoln cent struck on a silver dime planchet. It weighs 2.5 grams instead of 3.11, and it rings like silver when you drop it. These are incredibly rare, and they are the holy grail for error collectors. But even that usually tops out around a few $1,000s. So where does the $715,000 come from? It comes from the ultimate, once-in-a-lifetime combination of errors. We are talking about the double-struck errors combined with off-center strikes. Imagine the press malfunctioning. The coin is struck, but it doesn't eject. It stays in the collar. The press strikes it again, but the coin has rotated slightly. You get two dates. You get, "In God We Trust," overlapping with "Liberty." You get a coin that looks like an abstract painting, with Lincoln's profile appearing twice. That is a major mint error. A 1962 D penny with a double-struck rotated obverse has sold for significant money. But to hit that $715,000 valuation, we are looking at a coin that combines multiple layers of catastrophe. A double strike, a severe off-center misalignment, and perhaps even a planchet error all in one. This is the ghost coin, the coin that shouldn't exist. The coin that the mint quality control team would have destroyed instantly. But a few slipped through, and they are out there right now waiting to be discovered. Pattern interrupt. Pause for a moment and think about the market right now. The coin market is red hot. Inflation is high and tangible assets, especially rare coins, are soaring in value. The 1962 D Lincoln cent is part of a series that offers collectors key dates at every budget level. While errors worth tens of thousands of dollars are often hiding in pocket change, the market for high-grade, error-free examples is also heating up. PCGS has not even assigned a grade of MS67 or higher to many 1962 D cents, meaning that if you find a flawless, uncirculated example, it is instantly among the finest known. The scarcity of high-grade coins combined with the madness of the error market creates a perfect storm. The potential for a life-changing discovery isn't just a fantasy. It's a statistical probability waiting to happen. So, let's resolve this. What is the 1962 D Lincoln cent actually worth? The answer is that its value exists on a spectrum of extremes. At the bottom, it is a piece of copper worth 1 cent. In average condition, it is pocket change. In pristine, mint state condition, MS65 red, it can be worth around $8. With a subtle repunched mint mark, it can be worth up to $25. With a major error like a silver planchet, it can jump to several $1,000s. But the extreme pinnacle, the coin that the numismatic community whispers about, is the 1962 D penny with the perfect storm of errors, in a high state of preservation, that has been rumored to bring a value of up to $715,000 at private auction. This valuation is driven by the same market forces that saw a 1943 D bronze transitional cent sell for over $1.7 million. It is the pursuit of the unique, the flawed, and the impossibly rare. Pattern interrupt here is the call to action. Do not let this opportunity pass you by. The difference between a spender and a collector is knowledge. The difference between a broke retiree and a wealthy one is action. You need to inspect your change. You need to look for the D. You need to look for doubling, for off-center strikes, for the wrong weight. If you find something unusual, do not clean it. Do not rub it. Cleaning destroys the numismatic value. Handle it by the edges, put it in a protective sleeve, and get it authenticated by PCGS or NGC. The next time you are at a garage sale, a flea market, or a bank, look at the pennies. That $715,000 coin is out there. It might be in a forgotten roll at the bottom of a drawer. It might be in that jar of change you have been meaning to take to the Coinstar. If you take it to Coinstar, you are trading a potential fortune for exactly 1 cent. Do not be the spender. Be the collector. Before we wrap up, let's talk about what is next. The coin world is filled with hidden treasures, but the 1962 D Lincoln cent is just the beginning. There are other ghost coins out there, the 1972 double die, the 1995 double die, and the elusive 1969S double die that can fetch 6 figures. In our next video, we are going to dive deep into the 1969S double die obverse, the coin that is so rare that fewer than 100 are confirmed to exist. We will show you exactly what to look for to spot one in your pocket change before anyone else does. You are about to discover why a single penny from 1973 could be the most profitable mistake you have ever made. Every single day, thousands of Americans mindlessly spend coins that could be worth more than their houses. The 1973 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is not just pocket change. It is a ghost in the numismatic market, a coin so elusive and so riddled with rare minting errors that experts have valued certain specimens at an astonishing $612,000. That is not a typo. That is the kind of wealth that changes bloodlines, erases debt, and turns an ordinary jar of pennies into a life-altering treasure. And the most terrifying part? You have probably already handled one. Stop right now. Look at the change in your pocket, the jar on your dresser, the cup holder in your car. How many 1973 pennies are sitting there right now, waiting to be noticed? This is the moment where collectors become wealthy and the careless stay ordinary. The difference between you and a six-figure payday is simply knowing what to look for. And by the time this video ends, you will never look at a penny the same way again. The 1973 D Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint during a year of massive production. Over 3.5 billion of these coins were minted, making them incredibly common in circulated condition. In fact, you can find a worn 1973 D penny in nearly any pile of change, and most dealers will tell you it is worth exactly 1 cent. But here is where the story gets interesting. Buried within those billions of ordinary coins are a handful of catastrophic minting errors that transform this common copper piece into one of the most sought-after modern rarities in American numismatics. The composition of the 1973 D cent is itself a piece of history. Struck in 95% copper and 5% zinc, these coins represent the final era of the traditional bronze composition that would soon be replaced by copper-plated zinc in 1982. The weight is a precise 3.11 grams, the diameter 19 millimeters. But what makes the 1973 D truly extraordinary is not what it is supposed to be. It is what happens when the minting process goes catastrophically wrong. Let us talk about the errors that separate a 1-cent coin from a $500,000 windfall. The first and most dramatic is the off-center strike. Imagine a coin that was not properly aligned when the dies came down with 80 tons of pressure. The result is a crescent-shaped blank portion on the coin, a visual anomaly that screams rarity. An 85% off-center 1973 D Lincoln cent has been documented and certified by ANAX, proving that these errors do exist and do reach the market. Most off-center errors are minor, perhaps 1 or 2%, and carry little premium. But a significant off-center strike? That is where values begin to climb into the thousands. Then there is the double die error. While some sources claim no double die pennies were made at any mint in 1973, the numismatic community continues to debate and discover new varieties. The 1973 D Lincoln Memorial cent with a double die reverse error shows pronounced doubling on the memorial columns, a feature that serious collectors pursue with aggressive bidding. Die deterioration can sometimes mimic doubling, which is why authentication by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC is absolutely critical before you celebrate your find. Perhaps the most valuable error of all is the wrong planchet strike. This occurs when a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination. A 1973 D cent struck on a dime planchet is worth between $500 and $2,000. A cent struck on a foreign planchet? That value multiplies dramatically. There are documented cases of 1973 D pennies struck on Canadian 1-cent planchets, weighing 3.31 grams instead of the standard 3.11. These are the errors that make auction houses salivate and collectors empty their bank accounts. Double strikes add another layer of intrigue. A 1973 D Lincoln cent that was struck twice, or struck flip over with a second uniface impression, represents a minting anomaly so rare that Heritage Auctions has featured these pieces in major error coin sales. The Don Bonser collection of United States error coins included multiple 1973 D error specimens, proving that the market for these coins is not speculative. It is active, competitive, and increasingly expensive. But here is where we reset your attention again. You are probably thinking, I have never seen a coin like that in my life. And you are right, you probably have not. Because the rarest 1973 D error coins are exactly that, rare. But here is what the experts know and what you need to understand immediately. The 1973 D penny in pristine, uncirculated condition at the highest grades is already commanding serious money. A specimen graded MS67 red recently sold for nearly $5,000. The PCGS price guide values an MS66 red at approximately $230. And the auction leader for a standard 1973D in MS67 Plus red reached $990. These are not error coins. These are simply perfect examples of what the mint intended to produce. Now imagine what happens when you combine that level of preservation with a major mint error. You are no longer talking about hundreds or even thousands of dollars. You are talking about life-changing money. The market for error coins has never been hotter. In recent years, collectors have paid over $1 million for a single penny error. A 1958 double die penny sold for $1.136 million. A 1943 bronze Lincoln cent has fetched similarly astronomical sums. The pattern is undeniable. The numismatic market is experiencing a golden age, and the 1973D error coins are some of the last great undiscovered treasures still circulating in pocket change. Now let us address the elephant in the room. How does a coin with a mintage of over $3.5 billion become worth $612,000? The answer lies in the convergence of three factors: extreme rarity, significant mint error, and pristine condition. A coin that is both dramatically off-center or double-struck and preserved in uncirculated condition is virtually impossible to find. The mint produced billions of these coins, but the number that escaped with major errors and survived in perfect condition can be counted on one hand. That is scarcity. That is value. That is why a single penny can outperform the stock market, real estate, and almost every other traditional investment. This is the third and final attention reset. Look at your change again. Not just the pennies, everything. Because the 1973D is not the only coin hiding in plain sight. There are 1960D pennies, 1986 no-mint mark pennies, 1992D pennies, and countless others that could be worth thousands. The 1972 double die obverse penny regularly sells for $500 to $15,000 depending on condition. The 1969 S double die is worth over $126,000. Every single one of these coins could be sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a coin purse right now, completely unnoticed. The auction potential for the 1973D era penny is not theoretical. It is real and it is growing. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Great Collections regularly feature these coins, and the bidding is always competitive. Collectors are hungry for error coins, and the supply is incredibly limited. Every time a new 1973D error is discovered and authenticated, the market takes notice. Prices climb, records are broken, and another ordinary person becomes an extraordinary collector. So here is your call to action. Do not spend another 1973D penny without examining it first. Do not assume that common date means common value. Do not let a six-figure coin slip through your fingers because you did not know what to look for. Get a magnifying glass. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Look for off-center strikes, doubling, wrong planchet weight, and any other anomaly that screams mint error. If you find something suspicious, do not clean it. Cleaning destroys numismatic value. Do not spend it. Do not give it away. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC and let the experts tell you what you have found. The 1973D mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is proof that wealth is everywhere. It is in your pocket, your car, your couch cushions. The only question is whether you have the knowledge to recognize it and the courage to act on it. The collectors who are building fortunes right now are not the ones with the biggest budgets. They are the ones with the sharpest eyes. They are the ones who pay attention. They are the ones who understand that a penny is never just a penny. Stay tuned for our next video, where we will reveal another ultra-rare coin that could be hiding in your change right now. A coin so obscure that even most dealers do not know it exists. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join the community of collectors who are turning pocket change into generational wealth. Because the next coin you find could be the one that changes everything.